Exciting moment in Henderson County today. A historical marker was placed at Antioch Missionary Baptist Church. The marker is a representation of the Rosenwald Schools that helped Black Americans receive quality education during times of segregation. East Texas News Weekend's Madison Myers has more on the meaning behind the marker.
The early 1900s, a time where African American students struggled to receive proper education and adequate resources. Julius Rosenwald, a Jewish philanthropist, saw the need for change and took immediate action. With the help of Booker T. Washington, he funded over 5,000 community schools for Black Americans. Today, a historical marker was placed at Antioch Missionary Baptist Church in Chandler in honor of the school that was located on those grounds. Executive Director of the Texas African American Museum, Gloria Washington, speaks on the impact that these schools had on so many children.
An African American and a Jew, they came together to put forth education to the African American children so that we could progress, those kids could progress from the atrocities of slavery.
A member of the Jewish community of East Texas, Flora Farago, talks about the planning that went into the placement of this marker.
And local historians, community members, and activists had to come together to advocate for this memorial to be placed here and for this work to continue in other communities in Texas with Rosenwald Schools.
And as far as where the schools are today,
they are. Some of them are still standing. In fact, I just saw a picture of a school in Kilgore that is being renovated, a Rosenwald School. There, also in Nacogdoches, where I live, there are at least 2 standing schools.
Henderson County had 7 school locations consisting of 10 buildings and 22 teachers. Madison Myers, East Texas News Weekend.
The Texas African American Museum plans to have their first historical marker placed in September.